Hello, everyone. My name is Marnie Pickens, and I shall be your instructor for our Introduction to Philosophy class, PHI 111. I've been teaching philosophy for about a decade, and it never gets old. The reason why it doesn't get old is because we constantly get to ask ourselves and one another the most important, most pressing questions of human existence. You'll find as you study philosophy that there are three main avenues which you'll consistently go down. The first one is called metaphysics. That's the study of reality. The second one is called epistemology. That is the study of knowledge. And the third one is ethics. That's the study of morality. So in other words, we're constantly asking ourselves questions like, what is reality? How do I know that it's truly real? And how should I behave amidst this reality? Those are all questions that in one way or another, I feel are constantly pressing upon us as we walk through our daily lives. And I find it so interesting that even though when people first hear the word philosophy, they can become rather intimidated, the truth is we are all philosophers doing philosophy all the time. So we might as well use the tools that have been bequeathed to us by others, sometimes thousands of years ago. It's fascinating as well because much of our study and exchange of ideas happens in the marketplace, in the Athenian marketplace, where we look one another in the eye, ask questions of one another, respectfully disagree with one another, and so on. So the thing about philosophy that some people love is that it's basically the art of asking ever more refined questions. Typically, when you find an answer to something, you're no longer doing philosophy, you're doing something else. That can drive some people crazy. They want answers, not questions. Philosophers tend to ask questions, and hopefully we're asking better and better questions as we go along. I went to NYU to do my undergraduate work, and that's where I first formally encountered philosophy. However, after I graduated from NYU, I spent the next 20 years in New York playing music. And it's very interesting. I play electric bass and upright bass. The thing that has always interested me is that when you look back into the far, far reaches of philosophy, you find this figure, Pythagoras. Now, most of us initially encountered Pythagoras in a math class. You know, shudders were going down our spine as we were studying the Pythagorean theorem, right? Well, Pythagoras was also thought to have invented the Western musical scale. So isn't that interesting that the same figure that is back in the far reaches of philosophy is also back in the far reaches of math, is also back into the far reaches of music. So we have mathematics, music, philosophy, and we have this same figure informing them all. I've always found that fascinating. In that spirit, I would like to ask you, as we're introducing ourselves to one another, what is your favorite song? It can be classical, it can be rock, it can be country, it can be hip hop. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll tell you what mine is. I'm going to date myself a little bit. I'm a music, freak, so I listen to everything. But I think if I really am hard pressed to choose my favorite song, it would have to be the Rolling Stones' Shattered. And I still remember the very first time I ever heard that song. The album was released on the last day of school of my 6th grade class. So I remember literally running from school with my friend Jackie. We ran to the record store, vinyl of course, and bought a copy of the Rolling Stones' Some Girls Shattered. That song is about essentially losing your mind on the streets of New York, which I later did. I later was able to lose my mind on the streets of New York, which is perhaps why I can relate to the song so much. So that's my favorite song. I would love to hear your favorite song. So as you're introducing yourselves to us, give us your name. Be sure to let me know if there's a nickname that you prefer to be called. Let us know what some of your hobbies are and so on, where you live. the cool thing about teaching online is we're going to have people from all over the place, all over the world in this class, which I love. And also let us know what your favorite song is and a little bit about your history with this song and why you have such a connection to it. So we're going to have a wonderful time with one another, embarking upon our philosophical journey. We'll talk about all sorts of things. In addition to philosophy, you know, the text that we're going to read, I always like to relate these ideas to things that we see around us in music, in film, in literature, even in politics. I can almost guarantee you that if you encounter something that moves you, that gets you worked up in any way, that there's a philosophical undercurrent to it that typically isn't all that difficult to find when we start looking for it. So we'll be talking about all sorts of contemporary events as we're reading our philosophy together. So introduce yourselves, tell us your favorite song, and I can hardly wait to meet everybody.